Variable declaration is a very beginner friendly and a beginner required topic. So this is the basic starting point for anyone who is trying to learn CL programming. So let's start with the basics of variable declaration. We are going to cover the DCL command that is used for variable declaration. We are going to look at the structure of the structure or syntax of variable declaration, the types of variables that we can declare, some of the rules of variable declaration, and a detailed guide we are going to go through for variable declaration. And we're going to look at some other topics which are related. So this is going to be a beginner friendly and introduction to CL programming video. So let's go to the first article, and that is the structure of the variable declaration command in CL programming. So the links for these articles will be available in the description. We are also going to look at a simple practical example. If you do like these videos, so kindly consider subscribing to the channel. Let us continue. So the DCL command is, it starts with the DCL keyword. Along with DCL keywords, there are various required parameters. There are also optional parameters, but these are the main required parameters of the DCL command. So it demands the name of the variable. The name of the variable always has an ampersand at the start of it. So name of CL variables always start with ampersand. Then we have the type of the variable. So in this case, in this example, it is a star CHAR. That means it is a character variable. Then we have the length of the character variable, which is 4, and the value that the variable is going to hold. So if you go into AS400 server, if you go into work member PDM command, and if you look at a CL program, or if you write your own CL program, this is how it is going to look like. So I'm just going to jump over. So these are some variables that I have declared previously. So if you look at the syntax, it matches with what was there in the IBM documentation. So it has DCL, the name of the variable, the type, length, and the value. As you can see, I've written the value in single quotes. So if you want to write a new, or if you want to create a new variable, you can edit a program, you can insert a line and just type in DCL and F4. The F4 prompt is going to ask you for all the required or the mandatory parameters. The label is any label that you want to give so that the control can jump over there. We can ignore this for now. var is going to be the type of, is going to be the name of the variable. So if I give the variable name as surname, so surname is going to be the name of my variable. Type is going to be star CHAR. Storage we can ignore for now. Length and decimal position. So since this is CHAR, it is only going to have the number of characters. I can give 50. An initial value, I can give any sample surname. So as you can see, it has declared a variable. The positioning appears to be incorrect, I think, because I had my pointer over there initially, but we can rearrange. So it has declared a variable for us. Let's go back to the article. So it is talking about the syntax of variable declaration. And then we have declare file. We'll come back to declare file at a later stage. Let's first go through some of the rules for variable declaration. As we saw the structure, they have given the structure in a graphical format. It is DCL, then the name of the variable in var parameter, then the type of the variable, which can be either of these: character, decimal, logical, integer, or unsigned integer with a star, then the length of the variable and the initial value of the variable specified separately. Some of the rules of variable declaration are written. Let's go through these rules one by one. So the name of the variable should always start with an ampersand character, and it can be as big as 10 characters. As we saw in our example, all our variables start with ampersand. So that is the first rule of all CL programs, that it should start with an ampersand. Then it says that the first character following ampersand should be alphabetic, and remaining characters alphanumeric. For example, ampersand part. The first character, the variable name, should start with ampersand and then a alphabet. It should not be a number directly. You can have numbers, but after having an alphabet first. This is the first rule. Second rule, it defines some of the limits of variable declaration. So if you're declaring a character string or a character variable, it can be as large as 5,000 characters. that might be required for some large strings to be declared in the CL program. If we are declaring a DEC or a decimal, then the decimal can have as many as 15 normal digits on the left hand side of the decimal points, and it can have 9 decimal positions on the right hand side of decimal. Then the next rule is for logical values or the logical variables LGL. LGL are Boolean variables, true or false variables. So the logical variable can have a value of 0 in single quotes or 1. So 0 can mean off or it can mean false, and 1 will be true. Then it can be used in the if condition. If variable name, then do something. So if it is 1, then it will execute. So it is true and false. So the valid values are 0 or 1. Then the next one is star int, integer. So for integer, it can be 2, 4, or 8 bytes. So it can be unsigned integer with star UINT, or it can be a normal integer. What does it say? Value can be negative if int is specified for the type. So if it is star int, we can also have negative values, but if it is star uint, it can only be positive. So there are some rules. If it is compiled as a module, it can be the len of 8. Then they talk about pointer values, which we can ignore for now. The next point which this document cover is for initial variable value. So if no value is defined, then what will happen? So if no value is defined, then for decimals will have a 0 value, characters will have a blank value, logical will be false, that is 0, integer will also be 0, and pointers will be null. So they also say that if the CL program has input parameters, then those input parameters need to be declared separately as variable. I think we have this example over here in our CL program. We have 3 parameters. These are 3 input parameters to the CL program, and each and every parameter is supposed to be declared as a separate variable. Let's get the next topic. So we have covered the type of variables. We have also covered the rules for variable declaration. Now let's also look at the detailed variable declaration guide. We'll look at it quickly. We have the link in the description if you want to go through it in detail. So the detailed CL variable declaration guide shows all the optional parameters as well. So we looked at some mandatory parameters, but we have a lot of optional parameters where in notes they have written optional. So HTG means storage. Storage can be automatically assigned, it can be based, or it can be defined. So these are for pointers. So we have first parameter which we have covered, which is the name of the variable, CL variable name. Type is going to be the variable type. There is also star PTR, which we did not cover because this is a beginner video. Star PTR would be pointer, which would point to the address of another variable. We have storage. We have the length of the variable. If it is a decimal variable, then we can have multiple values. So for example, if we go to decimal, we also need decimal places. So in one of the examples, you can see here that the decimal variable is specified with a space in between. So the length of the decimal variable here is 5 and 2. So 5 digits, of which 2 are decimal points. So total 5 digits are allowed, but 2 of these should be decimal. So you can store a value like 123.99 in this. So there are total of 5 digits, 3 on the left hand side of decimal and 2 on the right hand side of decimal. So this is a sample decimal declaration example. Coming back to parameters, so we have length. Length can be a single value or multi-value. As we saw, for decimal it is required. Also note that length is optional parameter. If length is not specified, the first article specifies what will be the length. Okay. So next is value. You can directly give the value of the variable as soon as the variable is declared. If you don't provide a value, a default value will be assigned. That is a blank or a 0. As we saw, basing pointer variable. This is for pointers. We can ignore. Defined variable can ignore. Address can also ignore these. So these are basically for pointer variables. So the detailed article then goes on to define each and every parameter in detail. VAR, variable name, the type of the variables. So as we saw, there are these many variable types: decimal, character, logical, that is Boolean, integer, unsigned integer, or pointer. Then storage, length of the variable. So they go on to greater detail on defining what is the maximum number of decimals that can be stored and other things, minimum and maximum parameters that are allowed. For decimal, the maximum allowed is 15 digits with 9 decimal precision, which is a lot in general programming. Characters, you can have 32,767 bytes in total, so that is 5,000 characters. Logical is anyways going to be 1 byte, either 0 or 1. Integer is going to be 8 bytes. For module compiled CL program, that is with ILE, and with a normal OPM CL with CRT CL PGM, it is going to be 4 bytes, and so on. So these limits, minimum and maximum, are specified. Initial value we saw, and all these are then related to pointers, which we can ignore. So examples. As we saw, there is an example of decimal. So ampersand able is a decimal variable with a total 5 digits, 5 decimal. The total number of digits allowed is 5, out of which 2 are going to be decimal digits. Logical, where value variable is simple, ampersand switch star LGL. If you do not specify the initial value, it is going to be false or 0 by default. If you want to specify initial value, you can use the value parameter. As you can see here, they are not providing the name of the uh, they're not providing the name of the parameter or the VAR or type. So even without using VAR or type, you can directly write the value. But rest of the parameters required a definition to tell the compiler what we are defining. So these are some defined variables, pointer variables, based CL variables. We'll ignore pointers and defined variables for now. So the next point which we have is DCLF. So DCLF is specified in the first article. DCLF is used for declaring files. So in your CL program, if you want to read a file, as you declare variables, you can also declare files. The structure is DCLF, the file name, which will have the library name / the name of the file. So this is the basic introduction to CL programming variable declaration video. If you do like these videos, kindly consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. I'll see you in the next one.